Hello. We have survived the hurricane. It's all gone. Okay, Casanova. What's up there, Casanova? Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we talk about series books, read series books, talk about series books. There's no special effects here. There's no drop-ins. I have no theme music. I have none of that fancy schmancy stuff. So I'm hoping that you'll hit the like and subscribe and let me know I'm doing a good job in my poor little adequate channel here with no special effects, no special lighting, horrible audio, horrible lighting, no fancies. So anyways, today we are talking about Laurell K. Hamilton and Jason. All right. It's titled Blood Noir, but it's Jason. It's the first of two books solely for Jason. And Jason, all right, let's back up here a little. Anita Blake is a federal marshal, and she's also a necromancer, and she's also John Claude, the master vampire of St. Louis, his human servant, supposedly. She also she works with the preternatural investigation team in St. Louis to help solve murders. And she's got a when she first started out, she was kind of on the single Casanova trail. But if you've watched my other videos and watched some of my earlier videos on her, Anita was solving a mystery each book, a murder mystery, and developing relationships in the first 9 books. Then we hit, if you're an Ed Wood fan, read Obsidian. Then we jump to Narcissus in Chains. And stuff happens in there, and we'll get to that second. So she started collecting men. In the beginning, in the first many books, she had this thing in her head and her conscious, and we talked about it to death in the books. It was like, you're over it by now, you know? So anyways, let's get back to, she's Jean Claude's human servant. We really don't need to talk about Edward in this one. Edward made a big, huge appearance in Harlequin. We just did Harlequin the other day. So the second group is Narcissus, Cerulean, Incubus, and now Blood Noir. Now, we're getting to know Jason, and Jason has been a unique character in the books. He's had a relationship with Anita that's very, very unique from other characters. We first met Jason way back in Lunatic Cafe, and her first encounter with Jason, he's always been able to get away with things that nobody else can get away with. She'd always get angry or frustrated or pissed off, and she'd start an argument, but never Jason. Jason's been able to get away with stuff forever. And we first met Jason. Jason is having some difficulty controlling himself, Raphael said. He is your wolf. Call him off. Gabriel stood up, his face coated in blood. He bared his flashing teeth with a laugh. I'm surprised Ms. Blake hasn't killed him yet. Raina stood from the kill at a patch of blood on her chin. Ms. Blake refused Marcus's protection. She is dominant. Let her discover what it means to refuse our help. Jason was still rigid against me, his arms locked tight, face pressed against my stomach. I could feel his breath through my shirt, hot and too heavy for what was happening. You asked me here for my help, Marcus. Your hospitality sucks. He glared at me, but even from across the room, I could see a nervous tick jumping in his face, a twitch as though something alive were trying to come out. It's too late for business tonight, Miss Blake. Things are out of hand. No joke. Get him off me, Marcus. One dead tonight is enough. Raina went to him, holding up a bloody hand to him. Let her acknowledge your dominance over her. Acknowledge that she needs your help. Marcus stared at me. Acknowledge my dominance, and I will call Jason off. If he starts to shift, I'll kill him. You know I'll do it, Marcus. Call him off. If I am to give you my protection, you must acknowledge me. Fuck you, Marcus. I'm not asking you to save me. I'm asking you to save him, or don't you care about your pack members? And what was so that's how Jason, and he gets away with it, that he's all over her. And then we get Jason finally gets his, that's a whole nother story, I guess. But Jason finally gets his romantic time. We see Jason again in Bloody Bones. He goes with John Claude. They go out of town with Anita. And Anita gets to know him even better. He's become John Claude's pomme de sang. And then, due to a physical emergency, we will get to it, he ends up getting his adult time with Anita in Cerulean. So then we even learn again how Jason gets away with stuff. They're talking about Jason is trying to explain stuff about Nathaniel. Anita had always seen Nathaniel as someone to take care of. And Nathaniel saw himself, as we discussed in Harlequin, as her husband, not official husband, but in his brain, he was the housekeeper. He was the wife, actually. He was the housekeeper. He keeps the house. He did the dishes. He did the grocery shopping. And he, Micah, and Anita lived together in the house. And that's how Nathaniel saw it. And but Nathaniel was still not getting adult relationships with Anita. And he wanted adult relationship with Anita. And so Jason has just finished explaining this information to Anita. And, Jason, I can't say you're wrong about any of it, but I hate you right this second. Hate me if you want to, but I'm tired of watching people have everything their heart desires and throw it away. This isn't what my heart desired, I said. Maybe not, but it's what you needed. You needed a wife in that old 1950s sort of way. Doesn't everybody? I said. He grinned at me. No, some people would like to be the wife, but I just can't find a woman who's man enough to keep me in the style to which I have not yet become accustomed. It made me smile. Damn it, you are the only one who can say shit like this to me and not have me pissed at them for days or longer. How do you get away with it? He planted a quick kiss on my lips, more brotherly than anything. I don't know how I get away with it, but if I could bottle it, Jean-Claude would pay a fortune for it. Maybe not just Jean-Claude. Maybe not. Okay. So, Anita and Jason have this special relationship. So here we are in Blood Noir. But I will mention that due to the series of events that happened in Harlequin and a few other books, Belmort has been messing with John Claude Richard that put Jason in bed with her in Cerulean. That's what Cerulean says. And Blood Noir is the first of the two Jason books. That's kind of a spoiler alert, because we're going to leave a little on a cliff, but not to spoil the whole thing. But It is the first of 2 Jason books. She does another one. And Jason was dating a mermaid we learned from Harlequin. And what's the other one? Oh, Dance Macabre. That's what he met Purdy, the mermaid. And I don't see a wolf dating a fish. I'm sorry, but it seems like he's going to eventually eat her. But so anyway, Anita comes home and she finds Jason and Nathaniel having a convo in the kitchen. And we get a lot of relationship talk. Wait, you're talking past tense. Are you saying you and Purdy broke up? She gave him an ultimatum, Nathaniel said. He trailed his hand down my arm as he moved away. I'll get you coffee. I went to the table and took the seat that Nathaniel had started in. What kind of ultimatum? I asked. Jason stared into his coffee cup when he answered. She wanted me to stop having sex with Jean-Claude and Asher and you. Wait, you aren't having sex with Jean-Claude, Asher, and unless there's something I don't know. He smiled at me. The look on your face, man. He pressed his fingers in the Boy Scout salute. I am not now, no, I ever have been having sex with Jean-Claude or Asher. But she didn't believe you, I said. Nope, she didn't. He took a sip of coffee. Why wouldn't she believe you? I'm not sure. If my feeding the ardor off you through sex bugged your steady girlfriend, you should have said something. I am Jean-Claude's pomme de sang, his apple of blood. I am his blood donor, and I go where my master tells me to go. The ardor is your version of a blood feed, and you're his human servant. Jean-Claude shares me with Asher, the second in command for blood, and you for sex. And it's his right to share me. I am his. I belong to him. Purdy knows that. She just got kicked out of Cape Cod because she wanted to be more than just a blood donor to the master vampire there. Samuel didn't say anything about that. In fact, his son Samson said that Purdy was up here to spy on him for his mother. Yeah, but Samson went home and Purdy didn't. So they go through all that stuff. And Jason reveals that Purdy might have wanted marriage at some point, but Jason didn't. He not to Purdy anyway. So, and then we discover that Jason has received a phone call from his mother that his father is possibly dying. And his mother wants the estranged Jason and father to make up. Jason's father thoroughly, absolutely, 100% believes that Jason is gay. And his sister believes that she witnessed something that occurred like 10 years ago. But it was not Jason. It was somebody that looked like Jason. And we will hash this down the line further. She will never believe Jason that it wasn't Jason. And he can prove that it wasn't him, but his sister doesn't care. She's totally got it in her head, and her father's totally got it in his head. So while Jason is not 100% gay, he's not 100% straight either. He's bi. He'll go both ways, although he does prefer women. And we've seen quite a bit of that, especially in Bloody Bones, but that turned evil. And Jason suffered for that situation in Bloody Bones. And then he suffered again with Belmort and Valentine in the Home Line Yards in the other book. So Anita agrees to go home with Jason and play his girlfriend. And technically, they are having an adult relationship. All right, so it's not solo on Anita's part anymore. And if you had told me Anita from Guilty Pleasures was going to be Anita in Bullet or any of those other books, it just, she protested for so long and so vehemently that she ends up with 20 lovers All right. So, anyways, get off that cliff. So, they're gonna go to Jason's hometown in West Virginia in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Go Waltons! I should show some pictures one day. So she agrees to go home with him, and they've got to tell John Claude that his pomme de sang and his human servant are leaving town, and they're leaving town together, and why. And John Claude is a little jealous because technically she's going home to meet Jason's parents. All right, so they're not, seeing wedding plans down the road type situation. But John Claude feels a little, hurt. He can't take Anita back to meet his parents because his parents have been dead for several hundred years. So John Claude has a little angst, but it's okay. So they take, Jason and Anita take John Claude's private jet to Jason's hometown. Because Anita and all her guns, she doesn't go anyplace without all her weapons. So they go to Jason's hometown, and they're not even off the plane yet when they're calling him Keith Summerland. And Summerland is apparently the governor, and Keith is his son. He has 2 sons. And apparently most of the boys in this town resemble or descend from Jedediah, who was the founder of the town. And apparently the founder of the town believed in polygamy, and there was several generations of men walking around the town that look like Jason. So he barely gets off the plane, and security is all up in his face that he's Keith Summerlin, and why is he bringing another woman home when he's getting married in a couple days. So they go through a lot just at the airport with the security guards because they totally believe that he's Keith Summerlin. And this particular identity thing, you really think it's being pushed too far until the huge massive twist at the end that goes, oh, okay, this is why we kept pointing this out every 5 pages, because of the big twist at the end that we will not reveal. So Jason has to show his driver's license to the security people at the airport. Hey, look, I'm not Keith. I am Jason. I'm Schuyler. So they get in the limo, and they only take the limo because if they take the taxi, then the paparazzi are going to want to know why this rich guy is in a taxi and not a limo. So he has to take the limo. And when they get to the hotel, they're mobbed by more paparazzi getting out of the thing. So I always thought this was a interesting scene. There were cries of Keith, Keith. Jason waited for a little lull in the murmurous noise. He spoke loud and clear. My name is Jason Schuyler. They didn't believe him. They said so. They also pressed in on the circle of men protecting us. We came to a standstill on the sloping driveway. The guards and valets kept them back but couldn't move forward. Jason shouted, my name is Jason Schuyler. Who wants proof? He got out his wallet. Who wants to see my driver's license on camera? There was a lot of jostling for that, and while they argued over who got it, I whispered, covered your number and address. He nodded, and changed his hands around so that only his picture and state were visible. The lucky winner got to come forward with a camera and a crew and film the license. The guard actually let them through, but the rest were more patient now, waiting their turn or hoping for blood. The talking head who came with the camera shoved a mic in Jason's face. If you're really this Jason Schuyler, then why do you look so much like the Summerlin boys? We were always getting confused by people in school. We can see why. You could be triplets, she said. He nodded, sort of grimly. I came home to visit my family, which has nothing to do with Summerlin wedding. I just need everyone to let me have room to visit my folks. What brings you home? He looked at me. I shrugged. My father is dying of cancer. He doesn't have long. I'd ask that everyone give us some space to say goodbye. And who is your father? If I tell you, are you guys going to bug him in the hospital? We love your family's take on having a son who looks so much like the famous Sutherland twins. My dad is dying. He has weeks. Please, I'm begging you, don't torment him, please. Someone yelled from the crowd. Who's the brunette? Jason stepped back and I was suddenly on mic. I'm Anita Blake. Who are you to the Summerlins? No one to them other than knowing of Governor Sutherland. I've never heard of this family until today. I am Jason Schuyler's good friend. There, the awkward pause. I was betting it wouldn't be the last one. Jason put his hands on my shoulder from where he stood beside me. Flashes intensified. Another voice yelled out, Hey, you're Jean-Claude's Anita Blake, aren't you? Jean-Claude's Anita Blake, not Federal Marshal Anita Blake, not Vampire Executioner Anita Blake. No, I was just Jean-Claude's girlfriend. Great. Yes, I said. Who was I to quibble? Oh my God, you're Ripley! A woman's voice from the crowd. Ripley was the name Jason stripped under. Yes, he had chosen the stage name because of the movie Alien. When I asked him why, he replied, Sigourney Weaver is so hot. His more ardent fans called him Rip for short. He had a fan among the press. That was going to be another good or really bad. Other reporters asked, Who's Ripley? Jason leaned over my shoulders to say loud enough for other mics to pick up. Ripley is the name I strip under at John Clud's club in St. Louis, Guilty Pleasures. And it's downhill from there. So then they finally, this relationship stuff is going on and on and on and on and on, and it gets old fast until the last chapter when you have to face it. So he finally gets to the hospital to see his parents. In chapter 16, we spent 16 chapters, well, not the first two, but we spent 14 chapters talking about mistaken identity, which, of course, I'm sorry, is the whole plot line. And he meets Roberta, and then he meets Julia is the friendly one. Jason has two sisters, Julia and Roberta. And then she meets his father. You don't have to hold the girl so tight, the man in the bed said in a voice that was so deep it was almost painful to hear. You don't have to pretend for me, Jason. His voice lost a lot less hostile than his eyes. Maybe he just couldn't help the eyes. Jason let go of my hand and put his arm around my waist, one hand on my hip below the gun. I played my hand back and forth on his side underneath his jacket, trying to give what comfort I could. I'll hold Anita any way I like. Roberta's right, boy. You can touch the girl all you want in public. It's what you do in private that matters. What do you think I'll be doing in private that I don't do in public, Dad? Jason asked. Your mother told you to bring a girl home so I could die happy, thinking my only son wasn't a... He stopped as if he wasn't sure the word to end the sentence with. A what? Jason said. Still soft, but with an edge of anger to it, his otherworldly energy was beginning to creep along my skin where I touched him. Not good. A fruit, Frank said. A fruit, I said, and I fought not to laugh, but it was just one of those moments when the tension gets too high and you want to laugh. He looked at me as if I just appeared. Sorry, I said. You think it's funny that my wife told him to bring you and to lie to me on my deathbed? You think that's funny? I bumped my head against Jason. What do you want me to do? Be yourself. I moved away to look at him. Sure. Jason smiled. Positive. I shrugged, still with my arm around him. I walked back to the man in the bed. I tried to think of a polite way to begin. I think it's funny that you think Jason is gay. You hanging all over him doesn't change that he's a homo. Fruit, homo. Can't you even say homosexual? You like that word better, girly? He's a homosexual. His mother moved closer to the bed, but not to it. She was hovering somewhere between her husband and her son. I got the feeling that she spent a lot of Jason's life caught like that. I think I'm in a better position to know what Jason's sexual preferences are than you are, Mr. Schuyler. There, that had been polite. Dad, Julia said from near the door, Jason brought Anita here to meet you. Doesn't that say something? It says she'll lie for him. Jason moved away enough to have my hand. He drew me toward the door. Let's go, Anita. No, Iris said, grabbing his other hand. Dad, Julia said, he came all this way. Both of them left work and everything to come here. Be nice. I'm dying, Julia. I don't have time to be nice. I want my son to be a man, and he's not going to be. Jason's shoulders rounded as if he'd been struck a blow. That was it, the last straw. The camel wasn't taking any more crap from anyone, not even the dying. I kept Jason's hand, but turned towards the bed. Jason is a better man than you are, Mr. Schuyler. Those cavernous eyes glared at me. What's that supposed to mean? It means that a man is courteous, a real man is kind, a real man loves his family and treats them like human beings. I'm dying. I earned the right to be a son of a bitch. I bet you always been a cruel bastard. A look I couldn't read came over his face. I'm not a bastard. Oh, I think you are. So you're dying, so fuck what? We're all dying, Mr. Schuyler. You know the checkout time and how much the bill will be. Getting your little chippy friend out of here, putting a cross around her neck doesn't change what she is, he said. Jason's hand tensed on mine, drawing me back a little. I must have moved toward the bed without realizing. I've been told wearing my cross was wrong because I raised the dead, but never because I was a whore. This was a new insult. I didn't like it much. You shouldn't have said that, Jason said. Does Chippy mean what I think it means? I asked. Yeah, he called you a whore. Jason said. I couldn't read his tone. It wasn't exactly angry, more shocked, as if even for his father it had been too much. Julia and Iris were standing open-mouthed as if they were too shocked to know what to say. Frankly, Mrs. Schuyler said, finally a breathy, uncertain voice, stripper is one step up from whore, totally unrepentant. So now I'm a homo and a whore, Jason said. He didn't sound angry, more like tired. If the shoe fits, his father said. Franklin, don't do this. You told him to lie to me, Iris. You told him to bring this little stripper friend, so I die in peace. He's a fucking fairy and a fucking coffin bait to boot. Jason turned away. The otherworldly energy just stopped, as if he'd put up some big shield that cut everything off. The furry energy, the emotion, all of it, shut it down. I held his hand, but kept him in the room. If you walk out of this room, that's going to be it. I know. If it's over, then can we go out with a bang instead of a whimper? He looked at me, studying my face. Then he nodded. Why not? I looked at him and knew that was that smile, most unpleasant, the one that used to scare me in the mirror. But I'd gotten used to it. I knew it was in there now. I turned it on the bed and the man. Some of my best friends are strippers, Mr. Schuyler, people I love even. So it's not the insult you want it to be. I'm Federal Marshal Anita Blake. I let go of Jason's hand so I could get my badge out of my pocket with my left hand. I moved close enough to the bed for him to see it. I don't believe it. I put the badge back and slipped off the sleeve of my jacket so I could show him the worst of my scars from the job. The scar tissue at the bend is where the vampire gnawed at me. The doctors thought I might lose the arm use of my arm. The cross-shaped burn is from human servants who thought it would be funny for a vampire hunter to have a scar like a vampire. The claw marks were from a shapeshifter witch. So you're one of the federal marshals who hunt vampires. Yes, I am. You know he's fucking the master of St. Louis? Actually, I know he isn't. John Claude gets a lot of people thinking he's sleeping with anyone who's seen him with him in public. One of the downsides of being a beautiful man, I guess. Those deep brown eyes stared at me. You're telling me he doesn't give him blood? I thought we were talking about sex. Same thing. If you're talking about blood is the same thing as sex, Mr. Shiloh, then you're the pervert, not either of us. Iris said, Anita, as if she were my mom and that tone was ever worked on. He said, no, don't stop her. I earned it. He gazed up at me. But you finish it, will you? Won't you? You bet I will, I said. He smiled just a little. You're really my boyfriend's girlfriend? What do I have to prove to you and his other sister that we're dating? We're lovers and we're friends. So I guess that makes me his girlfriend. That word just sounds a little too junior high, don't you think? He smiled again. I guess it does. He reached out as if to touch the scars and hesitated. He wasn't the first to want to touch them. I moved closer so he could. His fingertips were tough as if his day job had been something with his hands. There was a gasp behind me. I turned and found Mrs. Shiloh with her hand to her mouth and her eyes a little surprised. Jason moved up to lift my jacket into place. She saw the gun. Gun? Jason helped me on with my jacket and the scars were invisible again. Well, except for the one in the palm of my right hand, it's a smaller cross-burned scar. The one I got because a very big and bad vampire was trying to possess me and someone shoved a cross in my hand. The vampire hadn't given up until the cross had sunk into my flesh. I don't go anywhere unarmed. So, does Jason's family accept him? And then there are some more repercussions. Because of the reporters that had mobbed them in the lobby previously that we talked about, when Anita admitted to who she was and they figured out who Jason was, well, then they go to St. Louis and they interview Gretchen. And if you've read the books, you know that Gretchen is a big thorn in the side. And so then they have to bring in Irving, the reporter in St. Louis, to help save their eyes. Then we have a very important meeting. And we haven't seen the potential of it yet, further down the line. But Jason and Anita get invited to the bachelorette party because he is friends with all the girls in the bachelorette party. And he meets JJ, a girl that he's known from high school, and she will potentially become a love interest. So then they have strippers at the bachelor party, and she meets a couple of vampires and a were-tiger. Apparently, there's quite a few tigers, and Maximilian, the tiger guy, is in Vegas. So a series of events occur. Marmee Noir rolls Anita, and Marmee Noir is very powerful, and she not only raises the ardor, but she uses Anita and she puts out an animal to call to every single tiger in the United States. And John Claude gets a ton of phone calls, and they are unable to reach Anita for a few days. So Richard, our favorite wolf king, goes out to Jason's hometown to see what he can do. And he learns that now Jason has become Anita's animal to call. And Richard has so much angst, and I'm so over it. And they have to lie to Richard for plot reasons. But and then it's just, Richard tells her about the tigers, and with the situation that's going on, and how Crispin is now been added to Anita's flock of men, and no one is happy about that, but Crispin is there. And once the cavalry leaves, then life goes to hell in a handbasket. Are you back again? Come here. I want a hug. Come here. I want a hug. Come on. Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Mommy needs a hug. We're missing Sinatra. We're missing my elderly child that passed this week. He had a brain tumor. Okay. You can go. She's trying really hard. But the end of the book, there's a big, huge final plot twist where things go to hell in a handbasket for Jason and Anita, and they get tortured, and Jason gets severely life-threatening injuries. So to find out how all that ends and stuff, you will have to read the book. So please check it out. Laurell K. Hamilton's Blood Noir, the first of 2 Jason's books. And please hit the like and subscribe, and let me know I'm doing a good job, because like I said, there's no special effects going on here. It's just me reading books, talking books. I have no theme music or anything else that some of the other fancy channels have. Don't forget, we're doing the Argonautes. We're doing Lindsay Sands, Argonautes, Carolyn Sparks, At Stakes. We're doing Laurell K. Anita Blake series. We will, later on when we finish Anita, if anybody's interested, we could do the adult situation every other page. Mary, if you'd like. If you have a favorite series that you would like me to look at, please leave it in the comments. I am forever looking for new series to attract new viewers. And if you have a favorite mystery series, with characters, the same detective or cop, each book solving a mystery series, a murder mystery each book, let me know. We will also be doing the Sherlock and Shavik Catherine Coulter series down the line, and we will be doing Janet Ivanovich, Stephanie Plum down the line. And we are currently doing J.D. Robb, Eve Dallas. So, like, Eve Dallas has a problem with being Rourke's cop. Anita has a problem with being John Claude's human servant, not federal marshal. No, John Claude's human servant. Just like Eve Dallas has a problem with Rourke's cop or the I-Cove cop, and not just New York City's cop as she sees it. And don't forget Star Trek Fridays. We are doing. Working on disc 1 of season 4 episodes. We did Buster Both Worlds Part 2 the other day. We did The Family. We're doing Mostly Human, and I forget what the other one is, but those are coming up. So please check out Star Trek Next Generation Fridays, and don't forget Flashback Mondays, where we talk about books that I was reading in 2007, according to Romantic Times or RT Book Review magazine. That was my book Bible back then. So like I said, if you have a series that you'd like me to look at, please leave it in the comments. And please like and subscribe. Thank you.